Hey everyone, and welcome back to Chasing Growth. Today, I'm gonna be sharing something that personally is very important for me, and I hope it's important for you. But I want to just share a couple thoughts I have about the situation that is going on in the country and what is happening and how we're reacting. I think the biggest question is what are we learning out of all this? What are we learning as a nation? And I want to share a few thoughts with you. One, I think definitely we have to bring some manufacturers back to the United States. I think the fact that all manufacturing in a big percent is in countries like China and other places is not very good politically, and is a bad strategy. We see when situations happen, we're not capable to be independent and be able to keep going and close the borders and just keep going. So globalization probably is not working very well as people thought in the 70s, 80s, I guess. So I would say bring back manufacturing to the United States. Also, I think we have a big crisis with parents. I saw on TV, so in the news actually, they were telling people how to deal with your children when they're at home. And I got to tell you, I don't think it's your children's fault or the school's fault. It's your fault for believing the school is a daycare. A school is not a daycare. Your children are your responsibility. If you don't know how to deal with them where they are at home, it's a big problem for you. You are the problem. So think about that. I think that's something to remember. And I think also one more thing, or a couple more things. There's a whole generation of people who have gone either way. I mean, to the extremes. Some are so scared. Some are so afraid. And there's some that just don't care. And this younger generation, the one that we heard in the news, the millennials or whatever, some are going to the beach and don't caring at all, and all are just pretty much the world of thinking the world gonna end. Those two extremes are really bad. So I'm glad this is happening to them. So probably for future crisis, they're better prepared. But oh my goodness, we have done a terrible job helping and actually the episode today, I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but how they need a lot of help, and we need to get into that as a country, I believe. And also, if you're in that generation and you see your peers acting ridiculous in any of the extremes, not caring or caring too much, please talk to them. Bring some balance to their life and make sure that they understand that we all are in this together and we need one another, and we all play a role. And one of those roles is to just being at home, for example, but not be at home freaking out or going to the store and buying all the toilet paper in the world, or just going to have your spring break and don't caring about anything and being worried because bars are closed. It's just ridiculous. And finally, I think my final question about what's going on is, what is the church is learning about all this? And and I don't have an answer, it's just a thought, something that I'm thinking about it. Is the church responding well? Is responding to be the light and the salt of the world in this time, the light in the time of darkness? I wonder if we are. Maybe some of the approach so inclusive, the approach too much comfort, too much of comfort-driven church need to change, and we need to focus maybe in real teaching and go back to back of the stories of the Bible, maybe back to what Jesus told us, and not just how that accommodate us and how that life will be better. I don't know, just a thought. Think about it. It's just all I want to say about that. Also, I want to tell you that personally, I learned that God prepare you. Years ago, I had the opportunity to take over a department, actually a couple of departments, and where I work. And for some reason, I have been working in such a way that the work can be done anytime, in case of anything. And we did a lot of work trying to prepare for, I didn't know what. I just didn't know if something will happen or not. And so we did a lot of changes. And some people will be, why are we doing all this? And nothing's happening. Well, it happens. And actually, we're able to function 90-something%. All the work is happening anyways, because all that work that we did before, and I just didn't know why we were doing all that work, but I just knew there's something need to be done. I didn't know why or for what reason or for when, and now is the answer. Also, growing up, as you can imagine, I have an accent. I'm not from the United States. I'm from other country. I have that immigrant edge, a little of that immigrant edge, and I come from a country where socialism was a thing, and then we have a dictatorship, a lot of unrest in the towns, in the people, and there was a curfew all the time. People protesting on the streets and fights and running and all those things that happen, and you weren't able to go out for months, and you have this curfew and you cannot be outside. The military will stop you. All the stop you have to stop, and it was crazy, and human rights and all that stuff. And I grew up in that environment, so when something like this happened, I'm not really freaking out. So I'm very thankful that I grew up in a very hostile environment. I feel more prepared for all this versus other people that apparently they never experienced anything, and they were put in a bubble for everything, so they don't really know how to deal with anything or how to respond. And some of the out there, even Christians, are really freaking out. With that brings me back to the topic of today, and I call it the death of mentorship. And I wonder how many of you actually have a mentor, or if you're mentoring somebody or coaching, you can say. But I think we really have a problem with that. I think the mentors are not there. There's not many. And we know this is important. We know that having somebody where we can learn and listen, somebody who can disciple us is very important, but it's not happening, it's not out there, and have become a business too. So many people does this, they mentor people, but they charge too, so not everybody have access to it. So what can we do? What can we do when we want to have a mentor and we can know access to it? But before that, let me tell you a story. Years ago, I met somebody that I thought that was very good. He was a good preacher, and I thought have a great life story, and we kind of get along very well. I thought just gonna go for it, and I asked him. I knew I need a mentor, and I love the work of the church. I love the work of the ministry. I work in a ministry, and I want to know more about it. And this guy have a great story. A lot of difficult times and this and that, mistakes and all. So I want to learn. So I asked him to mentor me and to share with me and all that stuff. And he said yes, no problem. And he invited me to have lunch, and we went to lunch. I was very excited. I wanna learn. I want to hear, I want to see what this person have to say. I already have respect this person a lot. And we go to lunch, and we sit there, and we start talking, and we order the food and all that stuff. And what was crazy though, one of the things that happened, he got a folder, put it out, and he started talking to me about insurance. He was trying to sell me insurance. Imagine how disappointed, how much the disappointment was. When this person trying to sell me insurance. I was there to get something else, and I ended up buying the insurance. You feel, that like you have to do it. You feel very, you don't have a choice at that moment, when I guess that's what sell people does. But for me, it was such a disappointment, such a sad moment. So I wonder, are you mentoring somebody, or you have a mentor? And if you are, just remember, keep getting better, keep growing, keep advancing, keep learning as much as you can, so that person who's being influenced by you can get better too. If you are looking for a mentor, man, my goodness, it's hard to find one. If you don't have the contacts, or you don't know the person, or for somehow you don't know the person, and you want to really learn, it's really hard to find somebody. But today we have so many opportunities to do this in a different way. I really believe the culture have changed so much. In the old days, you will have somebody who will mentor you and will teach you how to build something, and you will learn the different tasks and different things to do, and you will learn it, and the next generation will do it. Will be a father and son, or some relative, somebody in the family who will teach you something to do, and you will learn it, and they will mentor you, and there were different things, right? Today we don't have that, and what is crazy, we don't even have it in the family. The fathers are not mentoring their kids, and we leave that work to the pastors. The spiritual work, the mentorship, the spiritual mentorship, we leave it to the pastors, to the people who, the professionals, right? And we pay them too, to some extent. So I think that's a big mistake. So you may be lacking, or maybe you grew up and you didn't have anybody, somebody who can you look up to. Somebody who was teaching you, somebody who had best interest in mind for you, etc. So if you're in that place where you're looking for, mentors are important. You know that you want to be mentored by somebody. You don't know somebody, your daddy didn't do it, or you just didn't have a daddy. That's no excuse today, because we have so many access to different things that you can learn and do online. You have podcasts, you have YouTube, you have all the different medias that you can access to great content to learn. Maybe you're never gonna have that relationship. Maybe you're not gonna have that relationship of talking with somebody, sitting and having a coffee, and learning something from somebody. Maybe that's the case. Maybe you live in a farm and who knows where. But you still wanna be mentored, wanna grow in some area, maybe spiritual, maybe leadership, maybe something else, and you're stuck. But let me tell you, you can have access to that. Now, you have to develop the discipline, as you will have it with a mentor, maybe meeting once a month, meeting twice a week, meeting whatever. To do this, you need to have the discipline too. You need to be listening to this podcast. You need to be looking for different things you want to learn. What I do personally, I listen a lot of podcasts. I listen Craig Rochelle. I listen Carey Nieuwhof and other ones. And I also, for the spiritual side, I listen a lot of business ones that I like. And I try to read as much as I can, but I have three kids, and it's difficult sometimes to find the time actually to sit down and read. However, I do a lot of audible. I listen a lot of books, and it's an investment in myself. And maybe I don't have access to a mentor, but I still mentoring myself, learning from others, listening from others, and just getting better. So there's not an excuse today to actually don't have a mentor. I do believe the mentorship is dying. People's not doing it. And by the way, there's a whole generation, adults, 50, 60, 65, 40 and up, that you have a responsibility. Maybe you think you can not mentor somebody, but I guarantee you have life experience to share. And you should be able to do it and be looking at what is the lie? The lie is that you haven't accomplished anything. So in what? You haven't accomplished anything in like professionally, they tell you haven't sold a book, or you haven't published a book, so you cannot mentor. That's not true. You still can mentor somebody. You have life experience. You have situations that you have gone through. You have a life to share, experiences to share, and you should be mentoring somebody. At least be mentoring your own children. But if not, I want to encourage you to do it. And there again, to mentor, you want to be mentored. And you can do that, getting better, just again with the podcast, with the audio book, etc., etc. So there's no reason why not to do it. But I really believe the mentorship and having a mentor, having somebody to talk, having somebody to discuss ideas is something that is dying every day, is disappearing. And I will encourage you, want to find a mentor. If you cannot find one, mentor yourself with the audios, the videos, everything you can find online, and then mentor somebody. It's part of the growing. It's part of the passing the fruit to somebody else, giving to somebody else. To grow, you have to do that. To keep growing, you actually have to give to others. So if you don't do it, you're not gonna be able to keep growing. It's very important that you are mentoring somebody. So if you don't have a mentor, find one. If you cannot find one, use the resources that today the internet can give you, and start mentoring somebody. And don't believe the lie that you're not good enough, that you haven't accomplished anything. That's not true. You can mentor somebody in so simple things, and life experiences are very important for that. Again, we see it. I was just talking about that. This whole generation, they don't know how to react. They go to the extremes. They're fearful or they're crazy. Why they're not receiving some wise counsel from people they're close to them, their family, their parents, their grandparents, and instead to buy if you're in the 65, retiring, instead to buy a house in a neighborhood where no children are allowed, maybe consider that. Maybe move to a place where there's a lot of children, maybe where there's a lot of young people. maybe close to a college campus, and you just open your door and maybe help somebody. Don't be afraid. This generation need it. People need mentors. But if you don't have one, you can find it online, but make sure to keep kind of finding that long distance mentorship with different people. And actually you can have access to a lot of people, and that will be great. And be mentoring somebody, very, very important. So I hope you like this video. If you do, please click on like. And if you're watching the video on YouTube, but if you listen to the podcast, the same thing, just subscribe and keep sharing. Chasing Growth. We started something very cool. I'm doing this in Spanish, so after I'm doing this, I'm gonna continue with my immigrant edge to do the one in Spanish. So if you know somebody who speaks Spanish and wanna listen some of this stuff, share it with them too. So remember, find a mentor yourself. If you cannot find one, keep growing, keep learning. And then mentor somebody, make sure. And don't believe the lie that you're not capable, that you're not good enough, or you don't have enough. Thank you.